Welcome in, welcome in. Give it a few minutes, see who shows up as we get ready to zip on through with some highlights and simming, maybe a little bit of drama, we'll see. So we get ready to get through August and set up for the finale, the last month of the season, which is September. See what we're looking at here. We've got Washington a half game lead over Manchester. Lehigh 3.5 back, St. Louis 5.5 back. What the hell has happened to Crystal Lake? Been on a losing skid the last couple months. Real 61-36 over there with a pretty comfortable lead, 7.5 games. But look at that, 7.5, 8, 9.5, 10. You got four teams within 2.5 games: Carolina, Lancaster, Chicago, Union Stewards. Four teams slugging it out for those final two playoff spots over there. Hey, Slash, welcome in. What is going on, Slash, with these Crystal Lake killers? Take a look here recently. Oh, they went on a bad tear in July, losing five. They lost five in a row back here, four in a row. It seems like since June hit, they hit a few streaks where they'd lose four or five. So been a little bit of a skid. Hey, Mark, welcome in. Let's see what we've got in store for August 1st. Beantown, welcome in, Mark. We've got Beantown at Chicago. 2-1. Dave Steve, a winner. And a reminder to everybody that hasn't looked, we drew all the seasons today once the deadline was over. We have 1934, which is we will allow the Negro National League along with the AL and NL in 1934. And I have posted a file that has all the adjusted MLEs converted in over to the National League neutral park. So we've got that ready to go. So for anybody looking at examining potential winning or losing or non-winning teams from 1934 Negro Leagues, I've got that custom file where you can take a look at the players. That was posted in the draft section. So here we go. Gary and St. Louis. St. Louis a winner. Now St. Louis is trying to make a run for it here. Union Stewards a big win. Manchester at Lehigh. Manchester with a win. San Fran a winner. Crystal Lake, Philadelphia, and Carolina gets a win. On to the second. Two in a row for Beantown. Carl Hubble shuts out Hamaker. Crystal Lake, another win. They need to keep winning. Carolina, another win against Real. St. Louis beats Gary. Union Stewards win. Washington a winner, and Philly wins. Keep an eye on these dates. Manchester at Lehigh. Manchester 1-run win. Mike Scott. Vegas. Lancaster. Carolina on a roll. I think that's three in a row now that Real has lost. Here we go on to the fourth. Looks like we've got some teams changing venues. Vegas beats St. Louis. Philly a winner. Chicago beats Real. What's going on with Real? Lehigh beats Washington. Manchester a winner. Manchester on a roll here. Gary upsets Crystal Lake. Beantown a winner. And Edmonton over Carolina. Oh, that's a big one. Union Stewards. The infamous Mike Boddicker. Chicago beats Real. So that might be, what, 4 or 5 games Real has lost? The hell's going on there? Washington. Max Lanier gets a win. Wow, this is a pounding. Manchester 20-1. Manchester now in first place by a game. Lancaster, Carolina's coming on strong. St. Louis. St. Louis with another win. They've been on fire recently, climbing back. Stewards with the win. Real loses. Walter Johnson beats them. Will we see a Real win tonight? David Lando's probably like, the hell are you doing? Press the different buttons. Extra inning win for Lehigh. Manchester, a winner. Gary putting it to Crystal Lake. What's going on with that? Lancaster, a winner, and Edmonton over Carolina. So things are getting closer here. Manchester now in the lead. Washington two back. Union Stewards are within three of Real, and they win. Crystal Lake, a winner. Lancaster, a winner. Lancaster still in the hunt for a playoff spot. Washington heads into, or Vegas heads into Washington and gets a win. St. Louis, a 1-0 winner. Manchester, Edmonton, Lehigh wins. Chicago, a winner. Carolina, Real finally gets a win. And Vegas beats Washington. So as we go to the ninth, Manchester in the lead, and they keep winning. Beantown, Lehigh, Lancaster, Union Stewards, a shutout. Sandy Koufax gets the win. St. Louis, a winner. I don't think St. Louis has lost this month. Real, 12-2, and Washington wins. Vegas heads into Manchester and beats them. Crystal Lake, Bonds gets home run 25 as they beat Lehigh. Washington, a winner. St. Louis, a winner. Stewart 7-1, and Carolina winner. So right now, as it stands, St. Louis has that third spot ahead of Lehigh, and Chicago barely has it over Carolina and Lancaster. Washington, Lehigh beat St. Louis. Those will be some important games here. Chicago, Vegas. Could Vegas be a spoiler? Take some wins away from Manchester, I hope. Crystal Lake, Lancaster, and Real back in the winning side. Lehigh at St. Louis, another win. That's a big win. Stewart's 4-3. Manchester wins. Real, Washington, Edmonton, and Lancaster. So Lehigh, those are three big wins on the road at St. Louis. Crystal Lake, a winner. Washington, Vegas can't get it done. Manchester, Mike Scott gets another win. Philly shuts out Edmonton. Carolina, a winner. Beantown, oh, it got a double header, and this time St. Louis wins the nightcap. Crystal Lake, a winner, and on to the 14th. Take a look at the standings after these three games. Philly, a winner. Real in San Francisco. Pardon me. Got to get me a drink of water or something here. Manchester, Washington, Lehigh, St. Louis just a game back. And over there, we've got Union Stewart, Chicago, Carolina, and Lancaster. Game and a half back of Chicago. Some good races here. My gut tells me that a lot of these playoff spots are going to go right down to the last week of the season, probably in both leagues. The 15th. This team is on fire. Yeah. Lehigh over San Fran. A Beantown. Real. Washington beats Manchester. Union Stewards a winner. Carolina gets a little closer to Chicago with that win, and then Vegas over Gary. Carolina, another big win. So Carolina now flip-flops. They're in the third spot. Again, the top teams will get a bye, and second will have the home field advantage against three. Manchester, big one there, 11-7. Real loses. Lancaster a winner. And Lehigh beats Crystal Lake, and San Fran 3-0 along with 9-1 win for Vegas, heading into steel mill territory. On to the 17th. Washington in the head-to-head matchup now is only a half game back. Chicago, a 1-0 win. Lehigh on a roll here against Crystal Lake. Edmonton, they've been a little bit disappointing. I thought Edmonton was going to be a lot better. I don't know what's gone on with them this replay. Vegas, a big winner. Real and St. Louis, 15-3. Welcome in, Sports Flicks. Do you need to own anything specific to get them to work? Just Action PC. I mean, you should be able to drop them in your season folder and or unzip them and or install them from the Action PC baseball menu, and that's what they're compatible with. On to the 18th. Real, Philly. It's a key matchup here. Union Stewards 10-3 winner. St. Louis beats Lehigh. There's some head-to-head matchups coming right here. Crystal Lake a winner. Carolina a shutout. Washington wins, and Vegas beats Manchester. Union Stewards. St. Louis. So Lehigh goes in and beats up St. Louis at their park, and now St. Louis is doing the same in Lehigh. 4-3 San Fran. Real a winner. Carolina a winner. Washington a winner. Vegas, the upset, taking it to Manchester. And look at this, 17 runs to 10, Edmonton with the win. On to August 20th, my birthday. Let's hope the Lehigh Lizards get a win here. Philly, 5-2. Union Stewards a winner. St. Louis pulls a sweep off. I think that'll flip-flop them a half game. They are in the playoff spot. Crystal Lake. Beantown, a lot of runs there. Carolina. Gary and Manchester gets a win this time. John Tudor. San Fran. Real. Manchester wins. St. Louis, 4 in a row. This is going to put St. Louis a game and a half up for the last playoff spot. Now, Lehigh goes into Manchester and is losing. Come on, Lizards. Beantown. San Fran. Philly. Union Stewards. Gary beats St. Louis. And Crystal Lake beats Vegas. Lehigh gets a win. Union Stewards. Chicago. Gary. San Fran 6-5. Lancaster a winner. Real. Kershaw gets a win. And Crystal Lakes. On to the 24th. Where are we at? St. Louis holding by a half a game. On to that. Lehigh gets a win against Manchester. St. Louis at Gary should be a win. It is. Union Stewards. And Edmonton. Lancaster at Beantown. Beantown. Oh, Washington just gets by Crystal Lake. St. Louis is headed to Manchester. What's going to happen? Manchester beats St. Louis. Carolina. Gary shuts out Lehigh. Just when Lehigh needs a win, they can't get it. And Vegas beats San Fran. About 6 days left to go, the last week here of August. Big win by Chicago. Chicago just hanging behind Carolina there. Manchester beats St. Louis. Carolina winner. Gary wins. I think Lehigh's lost a lot of games here. Union Stewards 9-8. Can they catch Real for first place? They're only 2.5 back. And Crystal Lake beats Washington. So what's going to happen in these last few games? Edmonton wins. Union Stewards. Washington. Philly. Lancaster wins. Crystal Lake. Gary a winner. Lizards still losing. Now they're losing to Vegas. Union Stewards a winner, and Real, Carolina, Manchester, Gary, Vegas, and St. Louis. So 3 games left. How will September look as we finish um, August? Washington a winner, Manchester, Beantown, Crystal Lake, Union Stewards, Edmonton, Real, and St. Louis, and on to the 30th. Boy, Lizards are cold-blooded, losing. Lancaster, Carolina, Crystal Lake, Chicago, Philly, and St. Louis. Let's take a look at the 31st. Lehigh's still losing. Lehigh might be in the lot. It's lottery chances. Give me that 5% chance Mike Silva had. Crystal Lake and St. Louis. So let's take a look at the end now. We are done with August. Lehigh has fallen back. I got to see. This is like a tailspin here. Where's our boxes here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 in a row. 12 of 14. Woo. And you know when you're losing to Gary and Vegas, that's pretty rough. What do I got to look forward to? Well, the same teams. So let's look at the standings. Will show us the last 10. Manchester and Crystal Lake 7 and 3 here. Union Stewards on the other side with significant win. Going in the current streak, Lehigh leading the streak. Well, Lehigh and San Fran both lost 7 in a row. What's going on with that? Now I'm curious if I've got somebody hurt. No, they're just playing bad. I'm going to drop those, but yeah, it's we got through this one quick as usual. It's August. I'm going to drop the file, get in managers, and then we can regular roll out our September. I also have ooh, a lot of the golf research is getting fun for the upcoming golf league. We've dropped the Negro League file for 1934 for anybody looking to do some draft prep. Get your keeper files in. I know some of the people are dropping those today. In fact, I got to get mine in here tonight or tomorrow. And what else do we have going on? Oh, football. Week 10 of football. I'll probably do some of those games tomorrow. I think that's about it for updates. Oh, your Sims put you on a 15-game winning streak. Well, yeah. You just don't know what streak you're going to end up with in these, depending on the sim. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to hop over on Discord as I have some time to chit chat over there. But I will post this for everybody, and we can get in those September manager files. I'm pretty sure we have moved that. Do we have the first? None. Yeah, so I think we have the last game is actually on September 30th. No, October 1st. So that'll be the October 1st game will be included as part of September. So